Hey, welcome back. Thanks for being here. Today I want to talk to you about the silent killer that is destroying your marriage. Seems pretty dramatic, doesn't it? The silent killer. But there is a silent partner, a silent, unrecognized participant in your relationship. And that is menopause. Menopause is a season of life. It's a transformation. It's a new undertaking for your wife from a biological perspective. She is transforming or transforms into a non-reproductive creature. She started out life as a child. She crossed over into womanhood. And for a good portion of her life, she was reproductive, which meant that her system was calibrated for that. It injected hormones on a cycle in order to support the production of, or the release of eggs. It did everything that it needed to do naturally in order to ensure that cycle, and in order to provide an egg, in order to flush that egg, in order to be able to sustain or produce and sustain life. And at a certain point, that system starts to shut down. Her system starts to recalibrate. And menopause is the word that a lot of people are familiar with, right? We've all heard of hot flashes and maybe a little bit of, irritability and that sort of thing. But menopause really doesn't get the conversation that it needs, that women need it to have. And we need to understand as men in a relationship with a woman, because you're not going to get out of this life alive without having experienced the byproduct, the symptoms of menopause at some point, right? You're not going to experience them directly. You're going to experience them indirectly through her. But whether it's your mother, your sister, your wife, your girlfriend, a coworker, or just a random stranger, you're going to encounter menopause at some point. Now, the one thing that doesn't get talked about, if menopause is actually the poster child for this season of life, perimenopause really is sort of starting to come into its own. It's starting to become a household word, a word that people have heard before but don't exactly know what it means. And but perimenopause is the lead up to, the build up to menopause. Because if you think about all of the old werewolf movies, right? The moon comes out and the person afflicted with werewolfism runs off into the woods and transforms into this different creature. Nails, hair, ears, tail. Now, if that actually happened in real life, if we did that within like 30 seconds, we would probably, one, pass out, and two, we'd probably lose our mind from the pain. And it would just be, it would be incredibly painful, just torturous. And while perimenopause and menopause does have pain associated with it and can feel like a little bit of werewolfism, it's also, very much a caterpillar and butterfly situation, right? She's metamorphosing, she's transforming into another creature. And that process takes time. It's a recalibration, right? She doesn't just run out into the woods and turn non-reproductive and is in menopause. She actually, there's a lead up to it and a recalibration, and her system is going to be erratic, which means it's going to be unnerving. It's going to be unsettling for her. It's going to make her feel like she's broken. It's going to make her feel like she's falling apart. It's going to make her feel like she's getting old. And these are all words that have been said to me by my wife and by other women. So This isn't something that I'm making up. It's something that they have expressed, that this is how it makes them feel. And they're trying to hold it all together, right? They're trying to keep it all together. They're trying to hide it, not in a malicious way, but in a, it's just kind of embarrassing, and it's they don't really know what's going on. Nobody has sat them down and said, hey, okay, honey, this is what's going to happen about 45 to 55-ish. This is what's going to happen. You're going to have these laundry list of symptoms that are going to occur. They're going to come on maybe slowly, maybe suddenly, and you're not going to know what's going on, and it's going to be real confusing, and you're not really going to have anybody to talk to about it, and it's going to be a little different for everybody. And oh, by the way, your husband's going to be like, what the hell is wrong with her? So this is a season of life that we can actually support her, and we need to understand more about it. And it starts by recognizing that it's a thing, that it even exists. And then we want to go and educate ourselves about what it is, how it affects her, how we're experiencing it indirectly, and how it is actually blowing apart our marriage, blowing apart our relationship. She is feeling unsettled in her own body, disconnected from herself, not feeling like herself. A lot of times this happens, this takes place at the same time that empty nesting takes place. So really her identity is completely blown out. Kids move away, go off to college, don't really need her in the mother capacity in the same way. She'll always be their mother, but they don't need her to wipe their nose and tell them which pairs of pants to wear and cook meals for them, or whatever it is that she did as a mother. And and so her identity really starts to become in jeopardy, right? And when we're in that 45 to 55 sort of age, we really start to do the math. We start to go, do I want the next 20 years to be like the last 20 years, right? It's an inflection point. And we start to go, let's see, if I'm 50 and I can average it out and say that I'm reasonably going to live to be, 75, then you've got another 25 years left, maybe another 20 years left, right? And depending on your biology and your family lineage and your history and all that kind of stuff like that, if your family generally dies at 65, maybe you've got 15 more years. And that really starts to put some pressure on, right? It starts to put the pressure on, especially when we start asking ourselves questions like, who am I? What do I want, right? What do I want the rest of my life to be like? Who do I want to spend it with? What do I want to do? And so there's an existential component to it, right? There's an identity component, an existential component, an existence, a mortality, right? I'm using all of these words because these are all the words that come up, and they're all relevant. And so this is a real inflection point for her. And so the last thing that we want to do is rush in and make her feel more broken, make her feel more unsettled, be frustrated with her, disapproving, disappointed, unloving, right? Because that's what it feels like to her, is unloving. And she can't help it. These things are happening to her. She didn't ask for this. She doesn't fully understand it. And because she's in it, because she's kind of existing in the bubble, she can't always rationalize her way out of it, right? Things don't always seem to make sense because her pain is so loud that it's hard for her to step back, to step out of it and say, oh, this is what's going on. I see this very clearly, and to know what to do in that moment in order to care for herself. And so she needs us to be loving and strong and patient and kind and compassionate and supportive. So here's what I want you to do. If you're experiencing that, if your wife has hot flashes, if she is having erratic periods, if she is has like sudden rage, if your chewing is too loud, if she doesn't want to spend time with you, if she seems reclusive and cut off and doesn't really want to do anything with anybody, not even the kids, not even the extended family, if she exhibits any of the symptoms, right, more than, let's say, a handful of the symptoms of menopause, then I want you to go down into the description and click the link. And let's set up a call and talk about this in depth, because I have been through this with my wife, and I'm working on a book, in fact, that describes all of this and talks about all of this and points a man in the right direction and helps him to not only be able to support her, but to be able to strengthen himself so that he has the inner calm, the inner confidence, the inner peace in order to be okay when she's not okay. And so I want you to go into the description, click that link, let's set up a call, let's talk. And also on my website, if you go to happymancoaching.com, there is a list of books. You can just click on the books tab. There's a list of books there that will help you. They're not necessarily about menopause, but they're about being the strong, confident, calm man who can be very supportive of her during this season of life. And I want to invite you over to my community at mentoring.men, where we talk all about these types of things, not just menopause, but divorce and separation, and I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I need some space. You know, all of these things that she can say when she's hurting, when she's in pain, and when she's distancing herself from us. So go check that out, mentoring.men. All right, that's what I have for you today, brother. I'm with you. You're not alone. If you want somebody to talk with, somebody to walk with, go down to the description and click that link. Let's talk. All right, have a great week. I'll talk to you soon.